What's going on, guys? This is Yix here at Magnum Crypto. Welcome back to another video. So today's video I want to talk about decentralized finance, also known as DeFi. So decentralized finance is a very interesting and growing system within cryptocurrencies. So I wanted to tackle it and get an overview of what it is, compare it to traditional finance, and see what's actually happening in the space, as it is a space that's growing quite rapidly, especially since 2019. So it's something that we need to understand and kind of see how it will look going forward. And also potentially, as we are, in my opinion, heading into a recession, as I've said in previous videos, I wanted to kind of see how it would potentially do in a recession, how it could maybe gain some traction within a recession. So firstly, what is DeFi? DeFi is a new monetary system, a new way finance is structured, accessed, and distributed. It's built on a public blockchain and runs without a centralized authority or intermediary. It is borderless and can be accessed anywhere with an internet connection. Throughout this video, I just want to kind of cover, in totality what it is. Is it better than what we have currently? The pros and cons, and also the projects that are out there at the moment. Firstly, what are the problems with traditional finance at the moment? Like, what's the point of actually moving to a new monetary system, a new way of interacting with finance? So the issues with traditional finance right now is that it's not accessible by many. Now, obviously, those of us who are listening or watching from the Western world, first world countries, obviously we don't really have this issue, because we've all got a bank account, we've all got a credit rating, credit score, and to some degree we can all access finance. We can all deposit money into our banks, we get a little interest rate, although it being infinitesimal. We can access the loan for whatever reason, to buy a car, to buy a house, to even pay for a holiday, anything. There's many reasons that we can access a loan, but the facility is very much accessible to us in the Western world. However, a stat I saw earlier, 1.7 billion people around the world who have no means and access to financial services. They probably keep their money literally under their bed, under their mattress. They don't have access to a bank, and they definitely don't have access to loans and raising money. So to us, again, that's not an issue, but there's so many people out there that don't have this facility, to keep their money safe and to get things like loans, which is a big problem. And it's not fair, but it's, even from a capitalistic point of view, to be able to access all of them, that's obviously profits for the banks. So it's a win-win to get them access to financial services. Also, the problem with traditional finance is the fees. Now, obviously, we are used to the fees that we pay for, the interest rates that we pay to get loans, so the interest rate we pay back. The reason why it's actually a high interest rate we're paying is because how it works, especially with kind of loans and insurance and stuff like that, is that the one centralized authority, the one company, is taking up all the risk. So because of that, they are able to charge a high fee, and we have no choice, obviously, but to pay it. There's not a lot of competition out there for these companies on a high level. So we have no choice but to pay these fees. But for example, when it comes to like savings accounts and things like this, obviously the banks and the insurance companies take a big chunk from these loans that we're taking out. So if they were more efficient, if they spread out the risk, for example, they would be able to give us a higher chunk of that money, or we pay less interest on that money. The fees are quite high they take a big chunk of whatever kind of money we get from them. And when it comes to all these problems that I mentioned, and there's many more, decentralization solves those problems, as there's no need for a centralized authority. The risk and responsibility would be spread out over a network, so you get a better value for your money, or better value for the service, as it becomes a peer-to-peer system. As I said, it's a network effect. It's a peer-to-peer system, accessible to anyone with an internet connection. So all those people that are unbanked, as long as they have an internet connection, they'll be able to access finance wherever they are. Now, obviously, there still need to be checks done. Know your customer, also known as KYC, and anti-money laundering AML checks need to be done regardless, because obviously, if it's just an internet connection that you need, then there'll be a lot of fraud. A lot of fraudulent people would be able to get access to finance, and they would take advantage of this 100%. So those are the problems with traditional finance. But what are the benefits of it? Now, it is an established system that is trusted. It works and has been working for a very long time. It's also regulated and has a good legal framework around it, so people have a lot of confidence in them that they work and they won't get defrauded or come across any issues using it. And that is one of the kind of big things when it comes to these systems, that is the confidence that it has, the faith that people have in these systems. I give it a lot of strength as well. Like, if people just became frustrated with these systems, they would obviously stop using it, and then these traditional financial structures or systems would have to change. But the fact that they're established and it works is no easy feat. So let's talk about kind of the use cases of decentralized finance. The fact that it's over a peer-to-peer system, and the responsibility and the risk is distributed amongst the network participants. This brings a lot of different possibilities. So let's kind of go over a few of them. So this is a website called DeFiPrime.com. I highly recommend you have a look at it. And it just shows you all the different projects and possibilities that there are with decentralized finance, alternative savings. So as I said, because the risk is kind of spread across a network, you're going to have a higher interest rate when you deposit money in this manner. There's decentralized exchanges. So this is a peer-to-peer exchange of currency, a system of where you can exchange currencies in a peer-to-peer manner. So, at the moment it's mainly cryptocurrencies that you can exchange. So if you wanted to change Bitcoin for Ethereum without any centralized exchange, then you can do it this way. This means that your cryptocurrencies, your assets, are not at risk. It's literally your cryptocurrencies from your wallet going through this decentralized exchange, which is completely automated. They don't hold it, but they would match you up with another buyer, and you can just swap it that way. But imagine this kind of being applied to traditional finance, where obviously at the moment, if you want to change your pounds for a dollar, you have to go to a currency exchange place, a company or a shop, and then you would go there, you'd give them your pounds, they would charge you a fee, and then they would exchange it for the dollar, which again, because they're taking all the risk, they would charge you a fee. But if it's completely automated, if it's 100% decentralized, then the fees would be lower, much lower, and you get a much better rate. But also, you wouldn't have to go to any kind of shop or place to do that. You would literally be able to do that from your computer. Whatever exchange you're using would be able to match up with someone who has dollars and wants to exchange it for pounds. You'd match up instantly for potentially no fees or very, very small fees. And that's it, you're done. It would get rid of all these kind of currency exchanges that are open at the moment, and replace them with kind of these automated systems. This, in my eyes, is definitely the next evolution in currency exchange. and it would get rid of a lot of intermediaries, because these companies that you're going to exchange your money, that's essentially a middleman, a middle person. So if you're using a decentralized exchange to change your pounds to your dollars, there would be no need for these companies anymore. So it would cut out a lot of the friction in this manner, in this way. You'd cut out a lot of friction for you to kind of change currency around. It would be so easy and seamless. Also, DeFi has given rise to something called a stablecoin. Now, stablecoin, they've become very popular, especially or mainly in the crypto space. They are digital currencies that do not change in value. Now, in a very volatile crypto market, this is very valuable to have a kind of stable currency. And then normally, this would basically allow for you to, you'd be able to use it to transact much more easily, because you're not afraid that it's gonna decrease 50% in value, after you send it, things like that. And these stable coins are normally backed by a reserve of fiat currency, or they remain stable due to some kind of stabilization mechanism. But going forward, they can also be backed by different assets. So it could be backed by gold. It could be backed by, real estate. It allows also for the stable coins to be pegged to some kind of asset, as I just said. So this would mean that you would be able to digitize or tokenize all these assets and trade them on the blockchain, literally as easy as sending an email. So there are loads of stable coins out at the moment. Most popular one being USDT. It's not on this website, but there are plenty of stable coins with their different mechanisms and different kind of assets that they're tied to. Also, insurance. Insurance is another industry that decentralized finance is being used to change. And as I said, for this insurance, it's a centralized authority that takes up all the risks, so they're able to charge a fee for their services. But with decentralized insurance, technically, the risk is shared amongst a network. Therefore, there's no need for an insurance company, and you get a much better value for how much you're paying, and you'd be paying a lot less. And again, this would be automated. So again, you would get a quicker service. So those are some of the projects, some of the use cases that DeFi is being applied towards, and the kind of use cases are infinite. Anything that is related to finance, it can be decentralized. Now, some are obviously going to be better centralized, but a lot of financial services can be decentralized and will benefit from it being decentralized. So what are the differences between traditional and decentralized finance? You might have kind of gathered yourself already as I've spoken, but the main difference is in the core operation. Traditional finance is a centralized system with borders. Obviously, you have to be within a region to be able to use it, whether that's in the town or in a country. Whereas DeFi is decentralized and is borderless. It's global and it can be accessible anywhere with an internet connection. And also with DeFi, the system is more automated. And lastly, decentralized, meaning there's no centralized authority, and this means that there's 9 out of 10 times going to be no middleman. And because there's no middleman charging a fee, you get most of the time a lower cost. But decentralized finance is not perfect, and it has not got anywhere near kind of perfection or very high quality. It's gotten very good, but not good enough to replace traditional finance just yet. And to be honest, one of the main things is confidence in it. And as I say, that's why traditional finance is so established because there's confidence in it, in that it's been used for a long time, and there's a whole framework around it, whole regulatory framework around it. But the issues with DeFi right now is that there are multiple DeFi organizations that are working on their own solution. So their solutions are independent, and so there's no proper guidelines that everyone uses. If you right now, for example, Google an insurance company, most of them are going to have the same kind of checks that you need to do to get access to the finance. So it's a very standardized system, whereas DeFi at the moment, it's very much independent. Everyone does their own thing. So this gives rise to the next issue, which is regulatory framework and regulatory clarity. It hasn't basically got the all clear from all the governments. It hasn't got regulation to make it safe for everyone to use. So this is obviously going to make a lot of people very hesitant to use. But kind of another issue that ties in with that is the fact that it's not really very known just yet. Just like cryptocurrencies are not mainstream, they're not known by everyone, apart from Bitcoin. You know, if people don't know about it and don't understand it, they're obviously going to be even more hesitant to use it. So, but I think this issue will resolve itself over time. It might be a case that companies will just start using DeFi and not basically let the customers know what they're using, or over time people will just start to know about it as it gains traction with companies and people. Also, one of the big issues is scalability and capacity. At the current moment in time, if millions of people switch from traditional finance to DeFi, the system would collapse in of itself due to low capacity. They're basically just not able to handle the load of millions and millions of users. It just hasn't reached that level yet, so it simply can't handle it. So as I mentioned before, regulations, it has not got regulatory clarity just yet. So, and this has been the bane of cryptocurrencies up until this point. This has created the problem of every project doing their own thing, because there's not regulatory clarity. People are not really sure what they're allowed to do and what not to do. So people are just kind of figuring it out themselves. Once we do get regulatory clarity though, it basically lets all the developers know, lets all the entrepreneurs know, this is where you need to build within. Don't cross this line, don't do that, but you can do this. And then it will standardize everything, and people will all be kind of working within the same framework. And more importantly, it gives everyone the green light to actually be confident that what they're doing is completely legal, and this would allow, I guess, more investors to jump in and help raise finance. But you know, more importantly, it just it gives them the green light basically. As I've shown you, these are some of the use cases that DeFi are being applied to. But let's look at some of the actual projects that are running DeFi. A lot of them are on the Ethereum blockchain. As you can see, 210 projects, but there are a couple on the EOS blockchain and the Bitcoin blockchain. And these are some of the projects that are running decentralized finance in their own different ways. So here you've got a smart contract based wallet for Ethereum. B token, that's doing quite well, or it's a very interesting project. Open source crowd powered crypto asset management protocol. So as it says, it's connecting capital and talent. So basically, you know, there's a lot of talented investors and fund managers, but what they need is capital, as it says. So you're able to basically give your capital to those people, and they will use it to obviously make more money. But there is a system where you vote for the best person, and everyone will be able to see their records and vote together. But the way they've done it is you don't have to necessarily pick the right person. It's more of a crowd effort. So you've got all these different projects that are running DeFi, and it's only a matter of time before one of them really gains traction and takes off. So hopefully you gain some understanding, and I really think that DeFi is the future of finance. It just makes so much sense to cut out the middleman and make it all automated. And one of the big positives or pros for DeFi is that it will be able to give access to so many people around the world that don't have access to finance. And just that action alone puts so many people with imagination, with creativity, puts them in the position to contribute to society, which will really help growth in a lot of different sectors, especially those underdeveloped places. Imagine how many ideas they're going to have, inventions they're going to have, which they just, all they need is finance and a bit of support, which you'll be able to create. So that's why I think DeFi is definitely the future. And I think I did mention, we'll talk about in a recession. I do think in a recessionary period, DeFi could really do well, because, well, the issue is obviously it's not established just yet, but in a recessionary period, obviously a lot of people are not going to have money, but they're still going to have ideas. So this could really connect, a borrower to a lender. Someone could be doing well in a recession, and someone who cannot be doing well in a recession, but could still have the ideas to do something, but just not the money. So they'll be able to connect those people without capital to those that do, and really, combine to create some value there, just like the project B token is doing, connecting capital and talent. So things like that could do well, but they will need to get some kind of to get the light shined on them to be able to really grow and get adopted. So that'll be all for today. I hope you, as I said, got some value from that, and yeah, peace out.